one of the best memories of my childhood is that World Championship between Gary Kasparov and Vishwanathan Anand in 1995, somewhere in September or October, somewhere in October in 1995. Why October? Because I remember Navratra was going on in India. So that was a fascinating championship between these two. That's one of the best collection of games I can remember in chess, and that was played in I think World Trade Center in South Tower. We used to see the highlights, some of the things, and we used to get fascinated. All those chess aspirants, they used to get fascinated with the kind of moves these two did play straight. And I remember there were 8 matches which went into draw, and initially Kasparov thought that it would be a cakewalk for him, but it was not. And the first 8 moves were draws. And in the ninth game, Vishwanathan Anand surprised the world, and he actually defeated Gary Kasparov. And it was a very, very clean performance, the ninth game. But in the next 5 games, Gary Kasparov came back and won 4 out of 5. After which, it was only a matter of few draws that he eventually secured and won the 20 games race based on the number of accumulated points. So that was really fascinating, and I used to turn up the newspapers the next day of every game, and I used to compare what went wrong with Kasparov and Anand, and it was really fascinating. Later on, when the internet came, I have been following some of the finest chess matches, and we have been really fortunate to have seen in 20th century some of the really fascinating chess moves. If I talk about the chess moves, if you are passionate about chess, you know that there are some mind-blowing chess moves made in 20th century. Something like if you talk about Anand's bishop move against Lottier in Linares 97, or you talk about Edward's queen sacrifice, Edward's queen sacrifice move to secure that checkmate is extraordinary. How could a human being think 8-9 moves in advance? This is something out of the mind. I cannot imagine what kind of person people like Edwards were. Some of the games of Bobby Fischer, the Mikhail Tal. Mikhail Tal's, in fact, there is a queen sacrifice. It's very famous. It's viral on the internet as well. So, and in our modern era, of course, I like, just like everybody else, I like Carlsen. But I also used to like people like Kasparov and Karpov and Anand, and I'm not going into the debate of who is the greatest, because what I see is everyone picks their greatest in chess based on where they hail from. So according to this theory, my greatest has to be Vishwanathan Anand. So I'm not going into this debate. I'm passionate about chess, and to me, every chess great players, all these people are at par. You cannot say Vasily Ivanchuk's move against Kasparov that is as good as anything you have seen. The same thing happened between these matches between Kasparov and Anand, which I'm talking about. But because Anand was much younger then, and when Kasparov was fighting the same battle with Karpov, he was not half as good as what Anand was in this championship. So I think we have been very fortunate to see some of the best chess games. But here today, I'm not going to talk about who is the greatest based on the Elo ratings and all these debates that are going on in Reddit. I'm going to suggest 2-3 very smart ideas for your children, because your children must be playing chess. I strongly recommend that you make your children, you make your kids play chess at regular intervals. And when I was giving the same these tricks, when I was explaining these tricks to my niece, it worked. And after a couple of games, what I found, and I found it tangibly, that she started playing really well. In the last game that we played, I almost lost, but I could have pretended to lose, but I don't do that, because this will not help the child. Most of us make this mistake, that we go on to lose to make our child happy, but this is something I don't believe in. Because I used to, when I was a child, I was very passionate about chess, and I used to defeat all the elder members around me, and I used to tease them as well, because I was hardly 7-8 years old when this 1995 World Championship happened. So, and at that time I was almost good as anybody. So I what I remember is this: I came up with my own way of rehearsal, or you could say preparation, and it's this: start with 16 moves met practice, checkmate practice. What is that? You give your child one queen and one king, and you retain only the king with you. And just like we know, this is how the rule is in chess about checkmate. In the end, though these days we have rarely seen in professional chess, we have rarely seen this down to the last move. Most of the times, these people, out of their own dignity, they quit and resign. But there have been some cases, like if I can remember, there was one game by of where Carlson was playing, and it went to the last move as well. Anyway, do this. Give your child 16 moves and ask them to defeat you in these 16. And not defeat you, it's the word is checkmate in chess, not defeat. So ask them to do the checkmate, and you keep moving your king, and you give them king and queen together. In 16 moves, can they use king and queen to checkmate your king? Keep doing this for few games. Once this is done, this is just a level 1. Then tell your child that now you don't have king, you just have your queen, and you have to checkmate me in 16 moves again. Start with the dance. So 1, and you move your king, 2, 3, 4. And for this practice, stalemate is still okay. Don't bother about stalemate. You just have to ensure that my king, if you have the king, you have no place to move within these 16 games. Try this. If this is achieved, this is level 2, go to level 3. Now you, and this is tougher, this level of complexity and challenge is now increasing. But in the same proportion, your child's intellect is also increasing. So now you give your child one rook and one king, and then you retain only the king, and then ask her or him, now you defeat me in 16 moves, now you checkmate me in 16 moves. Are they able to do that? This is a very complex challenge. This is actually difficult because, as I'm saying, this is level 3 practice for me. So, and this is how I learned. For me, initially, it was very, very difficult. I thought it is not possible, but I could somehow, with practice, I could figure out this is also possible. This is level 3. If this is achieved, now move on to next level of rehearsal, the practice. Now you don't have king, you just have rook, and I have my king, and you have to checkmate me in 16 moves. And the condition is I won't cut your rook. Your rook is immortal. This is something which I'm giving you in terms of an indemnity. So your rook is now immortal. Now you have to use your rook, and within 16 games you have to checkmate me. Can you do that? Can you make this at least go to a stalemate where my king doesn't have a place to move? If you are able to do this, if these 4 practice approaches you apply, you will see that remarkably, dramatically, your child's chess prowess will go up.
Luckily, these days we have fascinating apps where you can have these kind of combinations. So if I start with queen plus king versus king, it could be something like this. I have a king and queen with me, and the enemy king has to survive 16 moves. Just like that, you can have a variety of combinations. As you can see, there are so many combinations. Here's something. If I choose like this, I have a king and a rook. The enemy king has to survive 16 moves. These kinds of combinations, you can see 4 bishops versus king versus king. So all these combinations, what it does is to develop the analytical skills and strategic prowess for the middle game. Because in chess, against openings, we are almost insulated these days, because most of us have enough games on internet, and there are web series on chess. So today we know how to insulate ourselves against the openings, but it's a middle game which cannot be taught, and this is where you control the game. So I think if we go on teaching our kids these combinations, these practice exercises, it will really help develop their strategic thinking, how they control their precious. So let's try this. Let's give these kinds of practice sessions before we make them jump and play the real game. These things really helped and helped me back when I was started, and I am sure it's going to help anyone whoever is starting this game.